guys, Sean C. Phillips here with that brand new DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shop video today. They're going to go out today, see what things came out, see what things are on sale. I know today, though, the big release is Avengers Infinity War, and I know that there is, a whole bunch of different exclusive versions. I know Target has one that comes with like a book, like a 40-page book with it, I believe. I don't know for sure which one Walmart has, and I know Best Buy has a Steelbook, and a lot of times the Marvel Steelbooks go really quick, so we'll be interested in just to see if there's any of them left, because usually they're gone very fast, but we shall see. Also though, the end of this video is going to be a whole bunch of new DVD and Blu-ray reviews for some things I received to review and talk about for you guys. There's some really cool stuff, like some new stuff from Scream Factory, like Return of the Living Dead Part 2, Brainscan, and a whole bunch of other things as well, so definitely stay tuned for those reviews at the end of this video. But anyway though, guys, let's get going and see what we can find today. Into Target we go. And they actually have the standee for Avengers out right in the very front. I haven't seen them do that in a long time. Like I said, it has a 40-page limited gallery book in this one, but I don't even know if they have any of those ones left here. Like the standard Blu-ray here is $22.99 for that one. This one I don't think is in the right spot for the 4K. I'm pretty sure that would be $30. I have to see. Yes, yeah, see, it's, yeah, I don't know what the price for the 4K one is for sure, because this is definitely the standard one, so it's the same price as the standard Blu-ray. But yeah, I'm not seeing any of these gallery books. I'll have to see if there's any of them over there in the section. Yeah, see, this is the 4K one is $32.99, so those ones have to be switched here. But I'll look over in the section though and see though if they have any more of these. But I don't know, it doesn't seem like there's any of these limited ones. At least I'm not seeing any of them here yet. So we'll go look in the section and see if they have it. Yeah, I'm not seeing any of those ones, so I don't know if they didn't put those ones out yet or not. But other than that, though, they have How to Talk to Girls at Parties. It looks like they only have the DVD of this one, but I really like this movie a lot. This is, stars Elle Fanning and it's set in the 70s about this kid who ends up going to this party with his friends, and like Elle Fanning is there, and it's like these aliens, and it's sort of like Elle Fanning's character has the opportunity like to go around as like a couple days in London, away from the other aliens, and kind of like experience human life. I don't know, this was actually a really great movie. I really would recommend you guys check this out. Like I said, it only seems like they have the DVD of that one, but there is a Blu-ray. But other than that though, I don't see anything else in here new. I'm gonna have to head to another Target though to see, because I want to at least see these gallery book ones. Also the Muppet Babies, the new one that released today, and I talked about this one, and if you guys haven't seen it yet, an update I did during last weekend, so I'll have a link for that below if you guys have not seen that. But head to Walmart next, and then to another Target to see if they have any of the gallery books out. And I was reading the sign again, and it says that the gallery book is only on specially marked 4K one, so I guess they're not actually having that in the standard Blu-ray, so that could explain why they've gone so quick. It's only just, new now. But like I said, gonna head to another Target just to see if they have any. But I have a feeling these ones are gonna go very quick today, and hopefully it's not the same way next week, because next week they release that Deadpool one, and here is a Target exclusive that comes with this book in it that looks like a really cool book. It's like an old kid style book, but it's like kind of dirty Deadpool characters in it. But I have a feeling that's gonna be one that goes fast too. Into Walmart we go. And in here though, they've already sold a whole bunch of copies, and it seems like the 4Ks are already totally gone. Their one though, it's interesting though, this one is $24.99 for the standard Blu-ray, and this one doesn't include a digital copy. I'm pretty sure that's how it was last time around. So if you guys are interested in this one, Target though, for the standard Blu-ray seems like a better price, and it comes with a digital copy as well. But other than that in here, the only other things in here that are new today was Destined to Ride. That one released today. I'm not sure what was empty here. I think it says Breaking In. And then Bad Samaritan, which I'm going to talk about this one at the end of this video. That released today, as well as this one here, Higher Power was the other one. Like I said, though, it doesn't seem like they have any exclusive versions here for, you know, Avengers as far as I can tell, though. But yeah, they definitely seem like they're going really, really quick today. Also, though, it doesn't seem like they put them out, but the movie Yellowbirds, that one released today as well. Another one I really liked. But now we're going to head to another Target, and we'll see, though, if they have any of the Avengers Infinity War books left. Like I said, these seem to be going really quick today. And like I was saying, they only, like, not having the digital copy. It wasn't with the last Avengers movie, but I think it was like Black Panther and maybe one other one. They were like, their sort of exclusive thing was they didn't include the digital one. I'm pretty sure Walmart was the only place, as far as I can remember, that didn't have the digital copy, you know, included with the Marvel of Black Panther. Into the second Target we go. Well, it looks like they might have one of these over here to show. But these have gone really quick. Yeah, I see one here. You know, this is the only at Target limited edition one. So it has a different, the cover, yeah, so there's a different cover as well on this one. So that's really pretty cool. Like I said, it includes in here the, this one's the 4K with the 4K, the Blu-ray, and the digital code. But definitely a cool image on that one. Like I said, this one is $32.99. I don't see any over here. I'll look in the section as well just to see if they had any. But yeah, so this is what the one was. So like I said, glad to at least see one. They actually have a couple of this one. Yeah, they actually have a bunch of ones here. So they have four, it looks like they have about five, like 6 copies of these. So there's definitely are a whole bunch more at this location than the other one. And this past weekend I saw a couple different films. The first one I saw was Slender Man. And that movie was one of those examples of like a movie that felt just extremely generic. Like, it reminded me, though, kind of like a movie from like 2002 or something. Like, it's basically, though, about, you know, the character of Slender Man. It's basically about these girls that they watch this video online of, you know, that they say, like, if you watch this thing, like, creepy things will happen. It's kind of like, you know, the video is supposed to be about like the Slender Man legend and everything. Of course, though, these girls end up watching this video of Slender Man, and it kind of has like the vibe of like The Ring a little bit, the kind of thing that they're watching. And the second they watch that, though, you know, right afterwards, like the very next day, like weird things start to happen to them. They start like seeing weird things, having weird sort of like visions. The character, though, of Slender Man in this, I don't feel like they did that much with it, like, to make it that creepy. You know, there was some kind of creepy little bit of stuff to it, but I don't know, overall, it wasn't that much of a very scary movie. It was okay. It's one of those movies that kind of, sort of, I feel like kind of comes and goes. I wouldn't say it was like totally not worth watching or anything. It was alright, but I don't think it was as cool as it could have been. The other one that I saw was a movie called Dog Days, which is one, I did not know about that one at all. I saw like a couple little trailers to it. It kind of like came out of nowhere. And it was one of those movies that was so much like a movie that the late Gary Marshall would have directed. Those films where it's, you know, like a characters piece where it's a whole bunch of different characters, like, you know, Valentine's Day and New Year's Eve and those type of movies. Mother's Day. I'm pretty sure he directed all of those ones. I know he directed Mother's Day, where it's like all different characters and then like they interact with each other in the movie at like one point or a couple different points in it. And this was all about the basis of like the characters who had these dogs, all had dogs, and like one guy's dog was missing. One girl worked at this, you know, at the news station and met this guy who had a dog there, and it was like they all kind of like connected in one way or another. And it had a whole lot of different cameos in it, like a really, really good cast in it. Like Vanessa Hudgens was in the movie, Adam Pally was in the movie, a whole bunch of people, lots and lots of cameos and everything. I was one of those movies, I did not know at all much going into it, like what I was going to expect, if I was going to like it. And it was actually kind of sad. It was like really kind of an emotional movie. I shed a few tears in that movie and like was really surprised with how much I liked it. That was one I would definitely say is worth watching. The other one that I saw was The Meg, which is, you know, I feel like there's been trailers for that for a really long time, and that's basically, though, about this research facility. You know, Rainn Wilson's character would like donate all this money to this research facility, and it's kind of researching, you know, marine biology and all this kind of thing, and they end up going really deep down and digging or going deep down into the ocean, they end up discovering this gigantic, huge, like 80-foot shark. And of course, though, right in the very beginning, this group of people end up getting stuck down there, and Jason Statham's character ends up having to be brought in to try and rescue them. And then it's basically about what happens with the shark, and it's like kind of becomes a huge to-do, and what they're going to do about this, and there's all sorts of problems and everything. Ruby Rose is in the movie as well. I don't know, I thought that was actually kind of cool. It was only PG-13, so it wasn't like a super gory movie or anything like that. I know the director said, though, in some interviews that he filmed some gory stuff, but I doubt they'll ever release, he doubts they'll ever release an R-rated version, but maybe since the movie did really well, they will like insert some of the more gore stuff when it releases on Blu-ray. But I thought that was actually a pretty cool, big, like gigantic, killer shark movie. If you guys, though, saw either of those movies, any of those 3 movies this weekend, though, let me know what you guys thought of them, or let me know what movies you guys saw this past weekend if you guys saw anything. Into Best Buy we go. And I actually, seems like they got a whole bunch of them here. The 4K one here is $34.99 for that one. Yeah, there's a ton of these left. Because sometimes these steelbooks for the Marvel ones go really, really fast. I don't know if they have a steelbook for the standard Blu-ray, which definitely is a really, really cool one here of this one, and this one's $34.99 for that. The standard 4K one is $27.99. Then it's $22.99 for the Blu-ray of that one. But yeah, let me know if in your location, guys, if you see a ton of these. But yeah, they definitely look and see too. I bet if they have any more in the section as well. And they have a huge standee for the movie as well. Really cool standee. And also today, these released as well, which are exclusives of the Avengers Age of Ultron here. That one's $34.99. And they also have the exclusive steelbook of the first Avengers film here as well. So these are, like I said, both exclusive Best Buy releases. I'm pretty sure that there's also standard Blu-rays of, standard 4Ks of these ones as well. I don't see those over here, though. I don't see any more of the Infinity War 4K steelbooks, though. It seemed like, though, they had a whole lot of them in the front, though. Yeah, and also, like I said, they do have standard 4Ks. So those ones are $29.99 for the first film, the first Avengers, and then Age of Ultron is $29.99 as well. And then, like I said, the Steelbook 4Ks, which are really cool as well. But don't seem to see any of the Steelbooks for Infinity Wars over here. So it seemed like all those were in the front, but there definitely were a lot of them left, at least for now, because like usually those are gone really, really fast. So anyway, though, guys, that's all for this DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shopping video today. Like I always say, if you guys enjoy these shopping videos, definitely give this video a thumbs up. Also, let me know, if you guys picked up anything, what things you picked up, or what edition of Avengers Infinity War you guys picked up, if you got any of them as well. Also, let me know as well what you guys thought of the DVDs and Blu-rays I reviewed this video. But anyway, though, now stay tuned for a whole bunch of new DVD and Blu-ray reviews. And the first one I got here from Shout Factory Scream Factory line is the brand new collector's edition here of the Return of the Living Dead Part 2. And I love this brand new artwork on this one. And also I said it as well, it has reversible artwork for the original poster art for the film as well. And I always like this artwork as well for this. Now one thing I want to say, a lot of people have asked about, like a big thing about this release is, this has the original music. So this has the music that you guys heard if you saw this in theaters, if you guys saw this on VHS. Because when this released on DVD, they ended up having to change the entire soundtrack, or most of the soundtrack, because there were some rights issues. So they ended up using the music that I think there was like temp music that they made when they were like the original music when they were kind of editing the movie. They kind of put in this music, and it was like kind of composed for the movie, but it was kind of cheesy and wasn't really up to par. So they ended up hiring a new composer to redo all the music. So that was the music you guys heard in theaters and on the VHS. But like I said, because of the rights issues, they had to change all that. Now, like I said, this version of the film, though, Shout Factory, Scream Factory release of this includes the original soundtrack, like I said, that you heard when you saw this in theaters and on VHS, but it also has an option to watch it with the alternate soundtrack. So those of you who are used to seeing it only on DVD, that's the only way you saw the movie, you have the option, though, to hear that soundtrack as well. So that's really is cool that they included that one as well on here. So that one didn't, kind of be lost, forever, that edition of it. Now, the movie, though, I've always really loved this movie. It's much more of a goofy kind of version of Return of the Living Dead, because I feel like even though it's rated R, it's much more of like Return of the Living Dead for kids. It's basically about this one kid who's getting bullied by these kids. in the very beginning of the movie, though, you see this army is transporting the barrels that, that had the chemicals in it that let out the chemicals where, made these zombies come back to life in the graveyard in the first film. And you see, like, the barrels being transported by this guy, and he's kind of messing around, and some of the barrels fall out of the, the transporting truck, and they go into this little lake thing. And it's basically, though, about these kids end up discovering the barrel, and it's, like, in this, like, weird area in the lake. And of course, though, when they discover it, the kids who are the bullies lock the one kid in this building in the cemetery, and they go and mess around and end up leaking the chemicals and letting them all out. And of course, starting the entire thing you saw happen in the first movie, and all the zombies are coming out of the graveyard. And the thing that's kind of fun is, too, the same actors, James Karen and Thom Mathews, who were in the first film, they came back in this, and they're playing like grave robbers, and they're pretty much playing the exact same characters again, but they just kind of change it around a little bit, like kind of playing it up like kind of more goofy versions. Like I said, everything about this movie has much more of a goofy feel. Like the zombies too, I love it because like the zombies are all kind of trying to like one up each other. If you're watching this, they play like some of the most goofy movie zombies I've ever seen in my entire life, and they're all like making all kinds of odd noises, and like I said, all kind of trying to one up each other. If you watch this, you kind of know what I mean. It's like really goofy, but it's such a fun movie. I've watched this movie so many times. So I was kind of waiting, though, to watch this again, because I hadn't watched this in a long time because I really didn't like the soundtrack that was on the DVD. So I'm so glad that Shout Factory, Scream Factory line released it with the original music. It's a, a brand new 2K transfer on here. Looks great. And it has on here a whole bunch of different features. It has a new commentary track on here with the actress Suzanne Snyder. It has on here a commentary track with Gary Smart, who is the co-author of The History of the Living Dead, and filmmaker Christopher Griffin's, as well as it has a featurette on here with the special effects makeup artist, a featurette with the director on here talking about the film. It has the original commentary track that was on the old DVD as well here, but a really, really great release and just a really, really fun movie. If you guys are fans of Return of the Living Dead and you've never seen this one, this is definitely the edition to get, like I said, because it has the original music as well, and just a really fun, goofy, fun movie. The next one here is another release that I was titled that I was been waiting for a Blu-ray release, and this is from Scream Factory as well. And this is the movie called Brainscan, which stars Eddie Furlong, and this is the movie that I've loved this ever since I was a kid. I used to watch this all the time, and it's kind of was ahead of its time a little bit with some of what was going on, because I don't know, it's something about this. It's a really fun movie. It's basically though about Eddie Furlong's character, who's like really into horror movies and really into video games and everything. He sees this ad, like his friend tells him about this ad in Fangoria for this game called Brainscan, and he ends up calling the number to get this. And Eddie Furlong's character is kind of like, his father's away at business, so he's kind of left on his own, kind of doing his own thing, and he ends up calling about this brain scan, and he didn't even order it, and then it shows up at his house the very next day, and he puts the thing in, and it's just sort of like a Sentry kind of game where you kind of watch it, and you get like transported into the game and everything, and he starts playing this game, and as soon as he plays it though, pretty much it's like his character is, he sees from the perspective of like the character, like this murderer who ends up murdering somebody. The very next day though, he finds a foot in his, in his freezer, and of course though, it looks like he's involved in this, and even though he just thought he was watching something. And then there's the character called the Trickster, and the Trickster kind of comes in, and he kind of reminds me the character of like Howie Mandel's character, but like a deranged version of his character in Little Monsters. I don't know, he always reminded me of that as like a kid and everything. I don't know why, it just had like a similar kind of vibe. The thing that's kind of cool though is the actor who plays the Trickster, he has an interview on here, a really, really great interview talking about how he got the part and everything, and like behind the scenes memories and everything. And there's also some really fun like stuff on here with the Trickster's character and Eddie Furlong filming these kind of promos, like of like Eddie Furlong driving the car, and like these really funny stuff that I feel like might have been made to like play as like little bumpers on like MTV or something like that, and I don't know if they ever aired them or anything, but it has on here though a commentary track on here with the assistant to the director on here, as well as an interview on here with the screenwriter. as well as, like I said, the featurette, talking to the the actor who played the trickster, as well as special effects makeup artist interviews on here, as well as an interview with the composer who was George S. Clinton. He's done music on a lot and lots of stuff, but a really fun movie. Looks really great on Blu-ray as well. Another one, just a super fun movie. Highly recommend you guys check this out, because it's like Eddie Furlong's character. So once he starts playing this game, he ends up doing all sorts of problems. The next one here is a early John Carpenter movie that I think he made this like right before he did Halloween. I'm pretty sure it was like right before. And this is Someone's Watching Me, which stars Laurie Hutton, Adrienne Barbeau, and Charles Cyphers. And this is basically though about Laurie Hutton's character, who basically she, in the very beginning of this movie, you see some weird guy like spying on some woman and like calling her on the phone and kind of stalking her. And Lauren Hutton's character moves into this kind of sort of like ultra modern kind of building where it's like everything is kind of like real, like kind of super like air conditioning, like kind of like ahead of its time type of building, like super modern building, because she's got a job directing live television at this kind of like television studios. But of course, though, when she moves into this place, immediately you see someone across the building, like spying on her, kind of watching her, and then she starts getting like these weird phone calls, and like this person is like sending her like weird letters, acting like she's like won certain things and won trips and everything, and then she's like, it basically gets worse and worse and worse about whoever this person is who's spying on her. This is around the time too when they did like I think When a Stranger Calls, and other sort of similar kind of movies of this type of thing, like that dealt with like stalkers and that kind of stuff. I thought this was actually a pretty good movie. Adrienne Barbeau, like, character works with the one who moves into the house like at the TV station. So there's a lot of stuff between them and everything going on. And like it's also too, it's one of those movies too, and you're kind of wondering like who is the person that's spying on her and this stalker, because like they kind of drop hints at certain times, like try and kind of confuse you about who it could be and everything. It has on here though a brand new 2K scan. It has in here interviews with Adrienne Barbeau and Charles Cyphers. A new commentary track on here with author Amanda Reyes, who's that wrote Are You in the House Alone, as a TV companion, a book about TV movies and everything like that. Because like this was a television film, like I said, from the 70s. The next one here, this is from Scream Factory as well. This is one I thought I never saw before, and I'm like, I think I might have seen this. Maybe it was on, and I don't know for sure if it was on like Monster Vision or one of the Joe Bob Briggs other ones or something like that. I feel like I saw this on like USA Up All Night or something before, and this was like years ago, like 20 years ago plus. So it's been years since I've seen this, and it's a movie here called The Unborn. And this is basically, though, about this couple who are trying to, she's trying to get pregnant, and she's having really bad luck with it, and it's been going on for years. And they go to a fertility clinic, and it's James Cameron's character, who's in, Return of the Living Dead 2 as well. And he's, like, runs this fertility clinic, and he's had a lot of success with this. But of course, though, there's some really weird methods that he's doing, and he's really up to some weird stuff. So this kind of has like a Rosemary's Baby kind of vibe to this, because you sort of, it has that kind of feel to it, because of course this is the very beginning though, she ends up getting pregnant from this, from the fertility clinic, and though that there's something odd going on, and she starts like the mother starts feeling like weird things start to happen, like she develops this like rash on her neck, and like odd stuff, really odd things are happening to her. This is an early thing too, that Kathy Griffin is in this movie. A couple other people I saw popping up in this. I have to mention too, the score in this, like the music, I really like the theme, like the opening theme to this, like this really cool synth song. I was listening to it again like a whole bunch of times. Like, it's a great synth song, really cool. It has on here though a commentary track in here with the producer and the director, as well as filmmaker Adam Simon, as well as a theatrical trailer in this one. But a pretty interesting one. Like I said, I feel like I might have seen this one years and years back, but it's been such a long time. And the next one here is from Shout Factory as well. It's a movie here called The House of Tomorrow, which stars Ellen Burstyn, Nick Offerman, Asa Butterfield, Alex Wolff, who Alex Wolff was recently in Heredity. Maud Apatow, who's Judd Apatow and Leslie Mann's daughter. So it's got a really good cast in this one. This is basically though about Asta Butterfield's character, and it's basically he lives with his grandmother, played by Ellen Burstyn, who, in this kind of like house of the future, kind of like something that you would see at like Disney, World, like back in like the '60s, that kind of thing, like or like the World's Fair kind of thing, that type of place. And it's basically, her character, his grandmother is really into like the teachings of this person who built this place, and like everything that he kind of believed in about like how to sustain like the world and everything, all this kind of stuff. And he has to go and like do it. Kind of, it's all he ever known is like living with his grandmother and her kind of beliefs and everything. So he kind of does like tours and everything of the house, and like kind of school kids and church groups and stuff go there to see it. And the one day though, this church group, Nick Offerman's character brings this church group there, and it's his daughter's there and the other kids, and Alex Wolff, who's his son, plays his son in the film. They kind of come there. And that same day, though, Ellen Burstyn's character has like a mild stroke, and it's kind of like Nick Offerman's character kind of takes her to the hospital and takes the kid there, and they kind of like become friends a little bit. He becomes friends with Alex Wolff, and he kind of, by doing this, he kind of like wants to start a band with him, and kind of first like finally starts to kind of see the real world and kind of get out of his house, because this kid is always, like I said, always with his grandmother, and never really had drank a soda or anything, like had really candy or kind of like anything. The grandmother kind of like had these certain type of diets and like certain type of food that she was eating, all kinds of things. Like I said, it was like her beliefs of how to sustain the world and everything. And essentially that's what it is just about, him becoming friends with them, and it's also, though, Alex Wolff's character, is dealing with a sickness as well. So there's a lot of other stuff going on. This movie, though, really surprised me. I like Nick Offerman. It was one of the rare times, too, you see Nick Offerman with no beard. Because, you always see him with a beard. It's one of those, there's been other things, but not a lot. So it's like a real different look. But I'd recommend that one. I think you guys should definitely check that out. The next one here is from Lionsgate, and it's a TV series that airs on AMC called The Terror, and this was a great show. Like, I just started watching this. It's one of those ones I'm definitely going to finish through this. It's one of the things, too, the first things I've seen in a long time that really reminds me of, like, the tone and the vibe of this show of, like, one of my favorite movies of all time, probably, like, my top 20 movies, called Ravenous. I love that movie so much, and this kind of has that vibe a little bit to it. This is a little bit to the feel of what this is. I don't know. It just really was giving me that kind of vibe. And this is basically, though, about, I don't know exactly what year this was set in, but it's basically, though, about this expedition, these two ships that are going, they have to try and find this kind of passageway through I think it's like the Arctic. And they're basically having to get through to these passageway and trying to find this, but it's right in the middle of winter, when like the part where they're going through is starting to freeze up, and they're going through it all. It's pretty much like they're kind of having to figure out how they're going to get ahead of this. And the one character is like, well, I don't think this is going to work out. I think we should go back. I think we should wait. But of course, though, what ends up happening, though, is, and this is like right in the very beginning, they go through it and they end up getting trapped out in the snow, and they basically are just frozen in. They can't go anywhere. There's no way they can dig out of this because it's just ice everywhere, and they're basically in a terrible situation. And very, very beginning, one guy gets very sick and starts coughing up blood and dies, and that there's very bad things that are going to happen, because in the very first episode, too, you find out that these people have gone missing. So it's like that it's like a really downward spiral of what's going on with these people. And this has on here some featurettes, like a look at the series. Ridley Scott, who was one of the producers of this, talking about this as well. But really, is a cool series. Like I said, I have to finish through this one, but I watched through a couple episodes, and this is a very, very cool show. And like I said, if you guys like the film Ravenous, it's got a similar kind of feel to this, and really, really well acted. The next one here is from Lionsgate as well. It's a movie starring Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren, and this is Black Water. This kind of was reminding me a little bit of like Escape Plan, a little bit like the setting a little bit mixed with like Fortress, kind of, because it was like basically like Jean-Claude Van Damme's character ends up waking up in this weird kind of like room, and it's like kind of like a weird like nondescript kind of room, and Dolph Lundgren's character is locked in another cell in this place, talking to him, and he's like saying, "What can you remember?" And It's essentially, though, Jean-Claude Van Damme's character, there's something that he knows, like there's certain type of information that these people want to get from him. And it's kind of like he's in there, in this kind of like prison that's in this ship out in the middle of the ocean. And it's kind of like he's like kind of being like almost tortured into trying to give up this information, but he doesn't want to. And it's sort of like the whole situation. And though, something's going to happen with Dolph Lundgren's character and Jean-Claude Van Damme's character. It gives it like a escape plan kind of vibe, like, because it's like trapped in a prison ship and there's all their kind of like prisoners in there and everything. It's kind of interesting. It was like it felt like a real throwback kind of film here. If you guys are a fan of like action type, like I said, like escape plan type films, check this one out. This gets my top recommendation. This movie was absolutely, positively, totally amazing. And it's a movie here called, starring Ethan Hawke and Amanda Seyfried, that is directed by Paul Schrader. Paul Schrader wrote and directed this, who wrote Taxi Driver and a whole bunch, and he also did Affliction, a bunch of different stuff. He's a really, really great writer and director. And this is a movie here called First Reformed, and it's also shot in full frame, so it's got a really cool like look to it. It's like the director kind of compared it to like an Ingmar Bergman, like very different for him, but it still has a vibe to Taxi Driver a little bit, because I was even reading some interviews how he was saying how he's editing this. He's like, this has got a similar feel to Taxi Driver, and it's basically though about Ethan Hawke's character, who is this reverend, and he's like he's a reverend at this church that's a very, very, like, it's basically become a tourist attraction. Like it's basically like a museum. Like he hardly has any members of this church, and he's kind of there because of something happened in his family, and he's kind of, for that reason, he's at this church, and he's not really the happiest person. And it's basically though about the one day Amanda Seyfried's character, who's a member of the church, comes and talks about how her husband is really, really he's just something he needs to talk to. He needs to come and talk to his husband, talk to Amanda Seyfried's husband, because he's acting strange and he's saying weird things, and there's just something up, and she's not telling everything that he's saying, but he ends up agreeing. Ethan Hawke's character goes to kind of talk to him, and it turns out though he's like really into the environment, and he thinks that the world is going to be done, because he finds out that Amanda Seyfried's character is pregnant, and he's like, we can't bring a kid into this world because this world is doomed, and the pollution and all this stuff, and he's a real big activist of all this and about the pollution and cleaning up the environment, and he wants her to have an abortion. And essentially though, he kind of talks to him, and something ends up happening to the husband, and the husband does something, and it's essentially though about Ethan Hawke's character kind of like the blame is looked at on him a little bit, and he also is starting to kind of change his views on things because of what he heard. And it's hard to say too much about it though, but like I said, this is absolutely amazing. I mean, this was so good. I hope people see this movie. I honestly, I was blown away with this. I think this is one of those movies when it ended, I was like, whoa. It was honestly, like I said, must watch. It has on here a commentary track with Paul Schrader, as well as a featurette on the movie, but please check this one out. Really, really loved it. And the next one here from Lionsgate as well is The Walking Dead, the complete 8th season here, and the next season of the show will be coming back, October, so that's not too long when this is coming back. I know the next season though is going to have like some, it's going to be the last season for a number of different, I think 2 or 3 different actors who are like going to leave, so it'll be really interesting in seeing how the show is going to go after those major changes, because even, that's the one thing with this show though, there always ends up being, someone big that dies in the series. So it's like, and of course I'm not saying who or anything like that, but if you've been watching it throughout the years, that there's always huge upsets to somebody that ends up dying in the series. And essentially though, it's about, group of these people all trying to survive together. And the show throughout the years has changed though, because it's dealt with, of course, them trying to survive from the zombies, but then it ends up dealing with, the kind of turmoil and troubles between the group, and then the character of Negan, who came in, who's like super violent and kind of like going and killing people, and he's like kind of totally nuts. And it's essentially though a war with him, and then his war with each other, and the arguments with each other. So it kind of goes, like I said, from dealing with the zombies, but throughout the years it's kind of turned into even more of problems in between the group of everyone, and they're all dealing with all sorts of kind of problems and sort of trying to figure out what they're going to do and deal with everything. It's actually, I really like the show. I've not seen every single episode of it, but throughout the years I watched episodes here and there and have always really liked it. And I always love everything too that deals with zombies and stuff. This has on here, though, Carl Grimes' Leaving a Legacy featurette, an In Memoriam featurette on here, The Price of War featurette, as well as audio commentaries on some of the episodes here. But a really cool one, like I said, one of you guys know that this one is available. And I know there's going to be, I think, like, I'm going to show on next week, I think there's going to be, when this releases, I think there's going to be, like, a steelbook of this at Best Buy. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if there's going to be any other releases as well. The next one here is from Lionsgate as well, and it's a Jackie Chan's new film called Bleeding Steel. And this is interesting because this is like one of the first like science fiction kind of movies I feel like I've seen Jackie Chan in. I feel like he might have been in other ones, but like I can't think of it offhand because it's much more of like a sort of has like a RoboCop kind of Total Recall kind of vibe to this a little bit. And like futuristic kind of stuff because it's like he's this cop and it's like he ends up having to try and transport this scientist who has this type of like an invention, like this heart that he invented, and these kind of like super kind of human things that he's been working on, and it's like somebody, you know, when he's trying to basically transport him, because like in the witness protection program, and then somebody who's like this weird like robotic type human kind of subhuman kind of character ends up coming after them and attacking all of them, and like most of them end up getting killed with him, and it's like years later, and it's like Jackie Chan's character is trying to protect this one girl, and you find out more and more about why and who this girl is and everything, and his kind of connection to her, and it's like this whole group of these like you know, superhuman kind of like robotics that kind of look like they're out of Star Trek. Some of them have like these things in their eyes and stuff. Like I said, it's a very different kind of movie for him, but it was kind of fun though to see him, like I said, in a science fiction type movie with like real super futuristic kind of technology and everything. I don't know, I thought it was different. I thought it was kind of cool though. The next one here is from Lionsgate as well. It's a horror movie here from the producer of It Follows. This is a movie here called The Ninth Passenger. It stars Jesse Metcalfe here, and it's basically, though, about Jesse Metcalfe's character. He's trying to, you know, he has to get certain type of files from this guy, like scientist on this yacht. So he's on there trying to, like, you know, posing as like a ship captain, kind of a guy who's like, you know, I think he's like acts like he's working on the boat, but he's in there trying to like hack these files and everything. And it's basically though about a group of these friends. Like the one friend is like the son of this guy who owns the yacht, and he's like a real rich kind of guy and his rich son, and he brings along his friends on the boat. Also, the guy who like is the captain of the boat brought this girl on the boat, and it's essentially they're on there going on this ship, and they're kind of just like planning to go out there and party and everything, but they end up going, it takes a little bit though to get to like the horror aspect. I think it takes like up into like 50 minutes or something to get to it, but I was really digging this movie just because it was reminding me of that one movie called Plankton. I think it was a horror movie from like the 90s. A little bit, because it like was dealing with like, it's basically like a creature type thing, because it's not really giving anything away, but it's some type of a creature sort of thing that they're dealing with when they're out there. Like I said, it takes a bit to get to it, but when it gets to that kind of stuff, I thought it was kind of cool what was going on, because you see certain like some kind of creature type thing like lurking around and everything, and kind of coming after these people. But that's essentially what it is just dealing with like, what is this thing, and then like what is on these files and everything. And that's kind of all you really can say about it. But it was kind of gory and everything. I don't know. I thought it was kind of fun. I don't know. I really got into it. The next one here is from Sony. This is a movie that stars David Tennant. And the one actor, too, who was... I was when I was telling in theaters, I was thinking, who was that guy? I kept feeling like I recognized him. He was on The X Factor, one of the contestants that got really far onto The X Factor, you know, years back. And this is a movie here called Bad Samaritan, and this is another really, really great one. I would give a top recommendation. This is about these two guys who work as, you know, they work, you know, doing valet, but they're really only working the valet for this restaurant because they have this scheme going on. When, you know, when the people in the restaurant, one of the guys takes their car, you know, the person's car they're dropping off, and puts like the reverse directions on their, you know, GPS, and goes back to the person's house. They go in there and kind of like steal things and everything. But the one day when they're doing this, they end up going into a house and they discover, though, David Tennant's character, that he has this woman tied up in the house. And it's kind of about, like, you know, when they discover this, you know, it's like kind of like, what are they going to do? Because, you know, they can't really say that they were in this house because they're stealing, and it's kind of a blow the whole operation, and it's like bad what they're doing. So they make this unanimous call and say that they found this woman in there, and he tries to figure out too if he can get her out of there. If this kid wants to see if he can get her out of the house. But essentially, though, it ends up being this nightmare situation for these kids because of you know these guys, because of what they saw. And you know, David Tennant's character is like crazy and is like kind of like messing around and kind of coming after them and making their life a living hell. But it is an intense movie. David Tennant was amazing in this movie, and it's like a real serious, like total, like one of those real pulse pounding kind of movies. It has on here the commentary track in here with the director and writer in here, as well as 7 deleted scenes on this one. But you know, definitely a top recommendation. Check this one out. The next one here is from Warner Brothers. They sent over a free copy of this one to let you guys know about. This is the complete 4th season here of Gotham. The complete 4th season of Gotham. This is actually a pretty cool series here, and it's this one. The thing that I really like about this series too is that they have so many different villains in it, and it's like kind of the younger forms of them. This also deals with the younger Batman, you know, kind of before he became Batman, about like kind of his training as a kid up until the point where he became Batman. So it's interesting to see too how long this series goes, and if it gets to when he's like, you know, see how it goes with the Batman character. This has in here though, you know, the Penguin. It has the Riddler in here. It has Poison Ivy. And it's essentially, though, about, you know, the commissioner, you know, character trying to kind of deal with all these villains, as well as the training up of Batman. But like I said, this is actually a really fun series here. It has in here, though, some featurettes on here. It has the best of DC's TV Comic-Con panel, San Diego 2017. So some of the Comic-Con panels on the show are on here, as well as deleted scenes on this one. And the last one here is from Paramount, and it's a movie here called Book Club. It's another one. I saw this in theaters as well, and this has Diane Keaton, Jane Fonda, Candice Bergen, and Mary Steenburgen. And it's basically, though, about a group of these friends who've been friends for years, and they always go and meet up at this book club. And they go to the book club and read books, but it's also them kind of to talk about their problems, their like relationship problems, and kind of like all their personal kind of things that they're going through. And it's almost sort of like therapy to them by kind of talking about their troubles and just kind of meeting up. It's like the one thing that they can always count on. But it's kind of like at this point, everyone's lives, like things are starting to change. And like the one character, she's having, you know, trying to start online dating. And then Diane Keaton's character starts having this relationship fling with this guy. And then like it's kind of her doesn't really want to tell her kids about this, and it's kind of like a real secretive thing going on. And then James Fonda's character, whose character runs this super fancy, you know, hotel. It's like kind of her being pursued by someone from the past that she doesn't know if she really wants to be with him again. And it's like Mary Steenburgen's character who's having some like relationship problems with her husband, and her trying to kind of deal with that. And then, like I said, they're all kind of talking about all their problems and everything. I don't know, I like these kind of movies. I like these kind of movies like about people getting together and like kind of talking out their problems. And I don't know, I thought everybody did a really good job in this movie as well. This has in here deleted scenes, the making of Book Club, and then it's talking about the from script to screen on here, as well as casting Book Club, and then as well as creating the film's theme song, a featurette on the theme song. But anyway, though, guys, that's all for the review portion of this video. Thanks again for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.